my name is Parastu Imami, and I'm the host of The Road to Success for Your Highly Sensitive Child. This podcast is about empowering parents of highly sensitive children to nurture their child's unique personality trait and create a path to success. Our podcast provides guidance, insights, and support to help you unlock your child's full potential, fostering resilience, confidence, and a bright future. If you're new to my podcast, please go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 because they provide information on high sensitivity that all subsequent episodes will build upon. If you skip these episodes, you won't get as much out of this and all subsequent episodes. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com. Before I dive into today's episode, here's a friendly nudge. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? Join our podcast family. And if our episodes have been little beacons of insight for you, I would love to read your reviews. Today's episode is a continuation of episode 15, and today we will be talking about parenting highly sensitive children ages 3 to 10 outside of their home life. So, first, I like to talk about school life. If your child is at the stage where you're searching for school, like a new school, you want to keep the following in mind. The first thing is this school a good fit for your highly sensitive child? Here are some things to consider. You want to talk to the school and your child's potential teachers to see if they're knowledgeable about highly sensitive children. If they say, yes, they are knowledgeable, then I would encourage you to ask them to explain their understanding of highly sensitive children to you. If their answer matches the definition of high sensitivity that I have shared with you, then the school is knowledgeable about this personality trait. However, if their answer does not match what I've shared with you, then and you decide that you're going to go with this school for whatever reason, maybe the school is close to your home, maybe it's convenient, maybe you like everything else about it. There are many factors that go into determining whether a school is the one that's a good fit for you, your child, and your family. So what I encourage you to do is provide the school with documentation around high sensitivity, and not just about what a highly sensitive child is, not just the 4 aspects that I've shared with you, but also include very specifics about what they should do with your child and what they should not do with your child, because every child is different and every child is unique, and what works for one person may not work for another. So given the fact that your child is unique, as is any other child, you want to make sure that you give them very specifics, that the specifics should be all about your child. What is it that your child needs to be successful in this school? And you want to set the school up for success. This is the reason that you're providing them with this type of documentation. And also you want to keep it concise and to the point, because most people don't like to read long documents, especially nowadays. Most people really have learned to get to the information that they need quickly. So you want to make sure that you're concise and to the point. So this document would not just help you, but it would also help the school because it would set them up for success. So you want to create this win-win situation, because the better the school understands your child, the more equipped they are to handle your child in a way that sets them up for success. If your child doesn't do well in crowded environments, then I suggest that you consider a school that has a fewer number of students in each class. So that's something else to consider. Also, before you decide to go with a particular school, make sure that the school is willing to accommodate your requests. So, just sharing the documents with them is not going to be enough. You need to know that the school is willing to cooperate with you, and they're willing to, first of all, understand your child, take the time it takes to understand your child and their specific needs, and they're going to agree to cooperate with you and accommodate your ask. So it's really important and not to assume that just because you provide them with documentation that's it, and they're the school is going to actually take action. I highly recommend that you make sure that you get their cooperation, and that they're willing to agree to whatever your request is. And then once you've selected the school, then I encourage you to talk to your child's teachers and decide what is best for your child with specific situations. For example, if your child is sensitive to loud sounds, for instance, and then you want to talk to the teacher and figure out where is the quietest part of the classroom. And maybe, for example, that could be the front row corners or the back row corners. And then once you have had that conversation and you and the teacher agree on where the best seats are for your child, just make sure that you engage your child as well to make sure that that arrangement works for your child. Because you don't want to force anything on them, right? You want to make sure that it's a collaborative effort, that you all agree on what would be best for your child. And then make sure that the school allows your child to take bathroom breaks when they need it. And for highly sensitive children, bathroom breaks don't necessarily just mean that the child has to go use the restroom, but they can take bathroom breaks to go regulate themselves. So if they feel overwhelmed or they feel like they're going to get overwhelmed, then they can take preventative steps to go and regulate themselves. So, for example, you can teach your child to go splash their face with cold water. Usually, water is very calming, and cold water really helps you regulate yourself. So, if they don't like cold water, for example, I don't like to splash my face with cold water. So, what I do is I just close my eyes and take some deep breaths if I'm in a setting where I can't use my somatic exercises. Um, I have mentioned in that episode where I talk about regulating your nervous system, there are techniques that you could use in school environment or in a public environment. So make sure that your child is aware of those techniques, and is like uses them at home frequently enough that it's kind of like a habit for them, so that when they are not regulated, because often when we're not regulated, our logical brain doesn't work, right? So you want it to be so routine for them that they know exactly, okay, when I'm dysregulated, I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. So they don't have to think about it when they're in that situation. And then, given that this is a new school for your child, prepare him or her for what they can expect. So if there's something that is similar between the school and the home environment, or if this is a change in school, if there's something similar between the old school and the new school, you want to make sure that you let your child know these are the things that are going to be similar or the same, and so that they can, it helps them feel more secure and calmer, because they know that, okay, there are certain things that they could expect to be similar or the same. So not everything will be brand new to them. And then next, ask your child what they need to feel safe, secure, and comfortable in school. Um, Often we make assumptions about what our children need because obviously we know them really well, but it's important not to make assumptions. It's important to go with facts. So get the facts directly from your child. Just, ask them what is it that they need. And, as a highly sensitive child, feeling safe is very important to them. It's a question that you want to ask very often is, what can I do to make you feel safe? Or ask them, do you feel safe? If you can see that they're getting overwhelmed, ask them what's going on. Do they feel safe? Are they comfortable? Do they feel secure? Because often the root of the problem is that they don't feel safe. And if they're sensitive to noise, for example, ask them if they would like to use earplugs when the classroom gets too noisy for them. I have ones that I recommend on my website. They're very discreet and they work really well because they kind of mold to each person's ear, so that it's much better fit usually, and so it doesn't allow sound through. And then if I've used them for over 10 years now and I love them. I definitely have tried so many different ones, and these are the only ones that I'm willing to use. And I carry them everywhere with me. I have a holder that I have on my keychain, and earplugs are always in there. And if I use it, then I toss them and I replace them with new ones. So they're always available to me. And then the other option is noise cancellation headsets, if the school allows for it. And some kids don't like earplugs, and some do. So it all depends on your child. So if they prefer the noise cancellation headset, that's another option for them. And then if the school allows for it, let your child bring familiar comforts. Like it could be a toy, a stuffed animal, a book, or even a piece of clothing. Whatever it is that your child uses at home to feel calm and secure, it could help them in new settings as well. If your child prefers to play on their own, please let them do so until they feel comfortable to engage with other children. Just make sure that their teachers don't force them to engage with other children until they're ready to do so. Because forcing your child to do something that they're not ready to do, it would actually delay that process. So it would just that you would just take a few steps back if the teacher decided to force them to do something. You can gently encourage, but definitely not force and definitely not push. And then once your child comes home, you want to engage with them and ask them questions. The more questions you ask, the better you can understand your child and what's going on in school for them. So just make this a habit so that your child knows. Maybe you do this if you're the one picking up your child from school. You can ask them when they get in the car, how was your day? What was the best part of your day? Who did you play with today? What projects did you work on today? What was your favorite class and why? What did you dislike, and why you disliked it? So you always want to ask why, because you're seeking to understand how things went for at school. So it's important to ask open-ended questions and not a yes/no question, so that you could get information. because the purpose of your questions are to gauge how they're doing in school, right? And you want to be able to understand whether something is not working out, either with the teacher or with some students or with friends. So the other thing that you really want to look out for, because this is frequent occurrence for highly sensitive children, is that they get bullied at school, and it could be at any age. And so you definitely want to look out for that. And if if your child does get bullied at school, you want to make sure that you nip it in the bud, because you want to make sure, first of all, you want to make sure that the school has zero tolerance for bullying. And then, um, depending on the situation, maybe you feel that just talking to the school is not enough, and you want to talk to the parents whose child bullied your child. And that might be helpful to, first of all, bring it to their attention. They may not even know, or you might need to, figure out why their child decided to bully, and what could be done to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But whatever you do, don't brush it off or dismiss it. Make sure that you advocate for your child, and you teach your child how to advocate for themselves as well. Next, let's talk about preparing your child for new situations. Before heading out, you want to talk to your child about what they might expect. This can include who they will meet, what the environment might be like, what the activities that they're going to get engaged will be like. The more specific you can be, the better your child will feel like the more your child will feel comfortable, and the less anxiety they will have. And so hopefully they won't get overwhelmed when they're in the new situation. So the more specifics you can give them, the better they can prepare themselves. And then create a safe space. When in a new environment, identify a quiet place where your child can retreat to if they feel overwhelmed, or maybe this could be like a quiet room at a relative's house, or a calm corner in a public place like a park. You want to identify those places ahead of time if you know of it, or the minute you get there and now you're familiar, like you know what the space looks like, and then you could come up together, you could come up with what space you want to use if your child gets overwhelmed, and maybe even come up with a code word so they don't have to say I'm overwhelmed. Maybe they can use a code word that either they come up with or that you come up with together. That usually is really nice and playful, and it helps them because sometimes they don't want to say I'm overwhelmed in public, for example. So it helps to have a code word. And then you want to pay attention when you're in a new environment with your child. Pay attention for signs of your child getting overwhelmed. Um, your child usually gives you cues if you're looking for them. So, because often they may not, at this age, they may not be able to verbalize their discomfort. So, you want to look for signs like clinging, irritability, or withdrawal, these as indicators that they might be feeling overwhelmed. And then, the next topic I want to talk about is social life. So you want to encourage social interaction at their pace. So don't force your child to interact with people when they're not ready. Allow them to observe first and join in when they feel comfortable. Because this is part of being highly sensitive. You want to observe, you want to analyze, and you want to engage once you have processed the situation. So Remember not to label them as being shy or that they take time to warm up. It might look like shyness. It might look like they're taking time to warm up, but most likely it's their high sensitivity, which is the first aspect, right? The depth of processing. So highly sensitive children are going to analyze and observe before they're going to get engaged in a particular situation. And at times they may feel like this is not something that they want to engage in. So you have to be able to give them that option if that's available to them. They may not want to get engaged, and that could be okay depending on the situation. I encourage you to make that be okay, because this is the stage where you want to really build your child's confidence, security. You want them to feel good about themselves. You want them to know what they like, what they dislike. These are the things that builds the foundation for your child, right? It's like building the house. If you don't set the foundation, and if the foundation is not secure, then the rest of the house will collapse, right? It's all about the foundation. So for your child, and their formative years is the years that are the most important for them. I would even say, it's up to age 10, the formative years. A lot of people consider that to be up to age 8, but I would go even till age 10. Those could be their formative years. Depending on each child is different. So you definitely want to build their confidence, make them secure, build their resilience, and then later on in life, you still have a chance to prepare them for what they will encounter in life, right? They might be in situations in life where they need to engage even if they don't want to. But that can come later in life. They're very young at this stage. You don't need to teach them these things at this stage. And then you want to teach them coping strategies, simple techniques like deep breathing, counting, or visualizing. Like visualizing being in a calm place can be helpful. A lot of times, I think, if you teach your child to visualize something that they love, for example, if they have a cat at home, they can visualize petting that cat. If they love the ocean, they can visualize being in the ocean. Whatever it is that your child loves and feels safe in, you can teach them to visualize that particular situation. And then, of course, the somatic exercises and techniques that I've taught in my previous episode is very helpful as well. And then you want to respect their limits. It's okay if your child isn't ready for a particular experience. Be patient and don't push them beyond their comfort zone. So, you want to use positive reinforcement. Praise your child for their efforts in handling these situations, no matter how small. Highly sensitive children really love getting praise, and the more you praise them, the more confident they become, the more resilient they become. And then educate others. If you're with friends or family, gently educate them about your child's sensitivity. This helps in creating a supportive environment. So your child is not just understood by you, but they are also understood by the extended family and your friends, especially if they're friends that you see often. And then remember that every child is unique, and what works for one may not work for another. It's about finding the balance that works for your child and your family. Highly sensitive children have incredible strengths. They're often empathetic, observant, attuned to others around them. They're courteous and thoughtful. So, by nurturing these traits and understanding their needs, you can help them thrive in any environment. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that you have the power to create a bright and successful future for your highly sensitive child. Embrace their uniqueness, nurture their strengths, and provide them with the love and support they need. Together, we can pave a path to success that aligns with their sensitivity. Thank you for joining us today, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. We'll be here with more insights and inspiration in our next episode. Until then, keep believing in your child's potential because they truly are extraordinary. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and stay committed to setting your child up for success in life. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com.